All right. I am ready whenever you do. Whenever you want to do a countdown.
All right. Goodbye, chat. I'll see you guys in some indeterminate amount of time.
Bye, chat.
Hope you guys enjoy the race.
Hopefully it's a good one.
All right, well, you ready then?
I am.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Have you been paying attention to the Discord to see the they're trying to figure out where to put like the hints?
Oh, yeah. So interesting spread of dungeons. Goron's Arbiters and City.
Yeah. That does mean we're going to have to go pretty much everywhere but the ice areas.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, we start with Fishing Rod.
Yeah, it's Fishing Rod and then most of the tomes or whatever, the skybooks.
Yeah, we only need to find one skybook character to get into City in the Sky.
Yep.
Yeah, back to the hints thing. I have sort of been following the discussion on, like, all of the hint debates and whatnot. Last I heard, they wanted to place hints, like, just on signs, or another option was, like, getting hints from Epona if you transform into Wolflink to talk to her.
Yeah, I think the most recent one is actually they're putting it on the Golden Wolves. If you talk to the Golden Wolves as Wolf.
Oh, okay.
So that they're still, like, spread out and you have to, like, get to them.
Yeah, that means that you do have to take a lot of... It takes a lot of time to get a hint if you have to... Unless you start with all the Golden Wolves active. Having to howl for, like...
Yeah.
Each hint location is going to take a pretty long time.
True, but I would imagine if they put it on, like, all of the animals, we'd have a good amount of hints. And then, you know, the 7, like, more major hints on the wolves, maybe?
I could see that. At least the hint system that is, like, being taken from Ocarina of Time Randomizer, basically. Or, like, the types of hints are being taken from Ocarina of Time Randomizer. I'm not sure they lend themselves too well to, like, certain locations, like, guaranteeing being, like, a better hint than some others, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Also, wow, I didn't realize they adjusted bow to only be 1.
Yeah, that's right. That's a new thing in Dash B4.
I was shocked by the quick bow, and then it was just done. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'll take this.
I think there's also been talks of, like, fixing Zelda's RNG to, like, always be perfect like it is in Better TP. Which I think should have been a thing a while ago, but
yeah,
obviously different priorities for Randomizer.
I didn't realize that Better TP already had that. Better TP became a thing after I kind of went on hiatus from speedrunning it. So I didn't check it out too much. That sounds like a really nice change. I think my last rando I actually had like a 13. It's pretty fun.
Always gotta have fun with Zelda RNG at the end of the run.
It is nice that there's no, like, pressure in the randomizer generally. It's just kind of, let's see what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Same with bow and goats. It would be nice to not have to do bow and goats at the start of every randomizer. I mean, I guess there's nothing telling me I have to, but it feels like I'm supposed to since there's no quick way to get back here.
That's true, yeah. The going to it's definitely, like, a debate whether or not it's worth it to go to Orden right away. So, like, for instance, I did not do Orden. I simply got the item or the chest in Link's house, checked what the shop was, and then left.
It's probably
but considering that bow is only 1 iteration now and not 2, it might be more worth it to do that. Because the Because the other argument is, well, like, to fully clear Orden, you need to have the lantern, right?
Yeah.
So it's, at least in my mind, it's more worth it to come back later when I have the lantern to full clear all of Orden.
Yeah, you do only miss 2 checks, but I guess that's like 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
But I have always thought about it, and for a while, because we have the Shadow Crystal, right? So we could technically warp. It used to be you could just warp anywhere at the start, but they changed it at some point. I think with 1.0, where you don't have all the portals anymore until you like actually get that parts of the map, so you can't just immediately start warping everywhere. So I can't.
And yeah, that's another thing that, like, as we were talking about earlier, overworld or like randomized overworld spawns would help with.
Yeah. It is a shame that the Pose and Agatha stuff aren't in the race settings. I understand why, but I do tend to enjoy the Pose. Just add slightly more reward for some locations.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but we do want seeds to not take forever, ideally.
Yeah, I my first race seed was like a 4-hour PB over my previous PB from doing all settings every single time I did one of these.
Yes, especially with like only needing 3 dungeons. The biggest thing there is only needing to complete 3 dungeons.
Yeah, which
versus having to complete all of them potentially.
yeah, it is nice when you're doing it with like open Hyrule. You could technically just find the go mode items pretty quick. It never happened for me, but you know the possibility was there.
Now with 500 checks in the base randomizer, I feel like the chances of that are probably pretty rare.
There was one guy who had almost everything in Orden. Like he got 5 good checks in Orden left, and got like the rest. It was like a 40-minute rando seed. I think that was the PB for max settings or world record. But you know that is rather absurd.
Yeah, definitely not the norm. Reminds me of an Ocarina of Time randomizer random settings league race that I heard about, which was done in 10 minutes because they started with the Rainbow Bridge already open, no boss door lock in Ganon's tower, and magic arrows and light arrows were all just in Ganon's tower.
So they just walked in, grabbed the stuff, and ended.
Yeah, it was basically just can you fight, you know, Ganondorf with 3 hearts?
Which, I mean, if you're someone who's done that before, like, you know, speedrunning stuff, that's pretty common.
Yeah. That check is not useful. I say vaguely so he doesn't know what I'm talking about.
See, I had a similar thought of like, do I talk about this? But ended up being useful. So, in like a bizarre way. I'm just going to talk about it. I'm bad at secrets. The what's it called? The earring. I didn't think the earring would be useful. Then I realized it gets that one check we talked about earlier with the lanterns in the mountain.
Yeah. It does require the ball and chain, though, unless you can somehow clip in and out of ice. And you figure out how to do that this seed, but...
Yeah, you can clip into the ice in The other check up the mountain. There's two.
Right.
There's the one in the cave, and that way you can clip through. But not very easily.
Yeah, I tried doing that once, and it kind of just took forever, so...
That was my experience with it. I did get it eventually, which was fun. But, yeah, no. Very slow.
Yeah, especially in a seed like this, where, like... Well, actually, I guess there might be some merit to doing that in this kind of seed, if, say, for instance, that check has some required item, and that check is the only required use of the ball and chain. If you do the clip to skip the ball and chain, you could potentially save a lot of time.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff where I'm like really looking forward to when plandos become more common. Because then you can like route that kind of thing in of like, oh, you know, I'm going to need ball and chain to get this item, but only this item, it looks like. So I can then figure out, okay, I'm not going to get the ball and chain. I'll just go do this trick.
Oh, do you mean like a spoiler log race?
Yeah, I've heard those are called plandos. Because they're...
Okay, yeah, typically a randomizer is when someone like writes like a configuration file to force the randomizer to place items in certain locations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
I mean, when I first heard of the word randomizer, I also attributed it to like a spoiler log race, and I was very sad when I learned that there's a different term for that, because I was like, but randomizer is such a good word. Like,
I know,
it's already used for something else.
And then I just want to double check. What LJAs are banned exactly? Or is it more or less LJAs are fine?
I'm pretty sure it's just all LJAs are fine. I actually don't know if like the LJA for Po1 skip, well, I guess the LJA for Po1 skip itself is fine, but I don't know if Po1 skip itself is fine because you're clipping up onto like the pillar in a way.
True.
So with these rules, I've never done Po1 skip because of that. And I don't feel like going to try the old method of backflipping up onto backflipping up onto the pillar and then sliding off of it.
Yeah, and that's like the real old method. That's before my time. Cause I think that's one of like the silliest tricks, like from the speedrun perspective. Of that trick used to be like one of the harder things for most people. And then it kind of devolved into now people just throw the boomerang like kind of in the general area and just kind of go.
Oh, yeah.
It's like really lazy now.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks where it's like somehow the extremely hard method was figured out first, and then over time the easier methods were figured out because they just weren't quite as obvious, even though they're easier to execute.
Yeah, it's like just stand slightly further from the wall and then walk it a certain way.
Also nice, I found the Hawkeye. I'm winning.
I wish you could use the Hawkeye with the bomb arrows. Or wait, can you?
I don't think so. You can only have either bomb arrows or Hawkeye.
That's what I thought.
So, yeah.
And bomb arrows in this game are just too powerful. They're like actually the most powerful item in Zelda.
They're really busted. Especially in Forest Temple.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they're busted in a lot of areas because you can also use them on like the Deku Toad to just instantly end every phase of Deku Toad.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, I got wrecked. Oh my god, that text flew by too fast. I didn't know what item I got. Okay.
I do love how we still have to do like Malomart and stuff. And there's just a check in this game that's what, like 2,000-ish rupees, and it's almost always not worth.
Yeah, so I believe or at least the strategy that I've always gone with is to just like pay the shoe cleaning fee to check what it is.
Oh, that's smart. I usually just check it later, and I almost always have way too many rupees either way. So it's just like I kind of do it as I'm going.
Yeah, there's I mean, it is a Sphere 0 check, so it,
I guess
it
I
doesn't
could have
require any
anything.
items to get, just a ton of rupees.
Is the wolf jump at the top of the watchtower, is that banned?
I don't think so, no, because I've always done that.
Okay.
Also, I died. In a really bad spot, actually.
I'm trying to think of like worse spots to die.
Oh, actually, okay, this isn't that bad. I thought I would respawn significantly further away.
'Cause I know like the desert is generally just by far the worst place to be dying.
Yeah, the desert's pretty bad.
Especially since there's like no reason to go get the warp, because you can almost always clear it all in one go. Fascinating. All the shops have been rather useless.
I mean, to be fair, there's not that many items in shops in this randomizer compared to like the total number of checks.
Yeah, I know my first ever Wind Waker randomizer, I had bombs in Beetle's shop, and the bombs don't look like a bomb bag. They're just bombs.
Ah, yes.
So I made the mistake of running around for like, it was far too long before I realized. I don't even think I realized. I think somebody else told me, like, by the way, did you check Beetle's shop? And I was like, yeah, there was just like bomb refills. And they're like, no, I think that might have been bombs.
Yeah, the Wind Waker's, I guess, different like that in that the bombs item is actually like a bomb itself model and not a bomb bag.
Yeah.
And then the actual bomb bags are just like the upgrades which give you more capacity.
Which is funny that this game just has 3 bomb bags and then a giant bomb bag,
Yeah.
which only affects one of them.
I do love finding the giant bomb bag before actually finding the bomb bag, and I'm like, oh gee, thanks.
Yeah. I know that's one of the number one questions I get is like, oh wait, don't you have bombs? Don't you have bombs? You just got a chest with water bombs. And I'm like, no, I don't have a bag. I have a giant bag, but
it would be nice if the like refills were changed to like blue rupees if you don't actually have like the item that the refill is for. But not quite there yet with this randomizer.
Yeah, it'll take its time. I don't know how much you played of it when it was before 1.0, but it's come a long way.
No, I haven't played it before 1.0. I heard of it, and based on what I'd heard before 1.0, I was like, that doesn't sound very fun. So I never tried it.
Yeah, it was basically only fun for no logics, and even then it was like pretty hit or miss because you had to do no logics. I would like exclusively have somebody else like make a seed, tell me if the seed was completable, and then I would do it. Because otherwise it was just every seed I did was a shot in the dark.
Yeah, that's kind of just what no logic is. It also definitely depends on the game whether no logic is like actually fun or not. Like no logic sucks in Wind Waker and Skyward Sword.
I'd imagine
Just
it's
like
similar to why it sucks here.
oh yeah, so in Wind Waker the problem is that there are so many things that are locked by the grappling hook. Because you have like 50 sunken treasure chests, right?
Oh yeah.
That are just locked by the grappling hook. Along with everything else in the overworld that's locked.
I didn't even consider the grappling hook being, because I figured every time I've done Wind Waker randomizers, there hasn't been the treasure chest. It's like almost always the thing that everyone says turn off. There's just so many of them. But it makes sense that then when you're on no logic, you can't just turn off the grappling hook chests or like the treasure chart chests.
Right, I mean, currently there isn't even like an option in Wind Waker randomizer for no logic. You just have to play with logic.
That's smart. Keeps people from accidentally going no logic and then just being sad. Oh my god, a green rupee. That's the dream. I do enjoy that we have 3 validation rupees in this game.
What is it? The green rupee, the purple 50 from the basement, and what else?
The other green rupee, there's 2.
Oh, there's 2 green rupees, okay. Greg has manifested himself twice, I see.
Indeed. Twice the Greg, twice the fun.
Yo, 2 golden bugs in a row? Nice.
It's too bad Agatha doesn't get them in the race. God, I love how far the, like, boars hit you.
Yeah.
It's, like, comically, like, some anime stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like the moblins from Wind Waker when they do their sideways spear attack.
You go all over the place.
You get enough speed to do barrier skip with that attack.
If only you could get a moblin there. I don't actually know.
Wouldn't. I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me if there was like some weird clipping opportunity, like with the speed that the boar knockback gives you.
Do you think barrier skip for this game will ever actually be found?
I will say that if I live to an old age and die and barrier skip is still not found in this game, I will be very surprised.
That's fair, but not anytime soon is what you're saying. Like, it might happen eventually, or it should happen eventually, but not, you know, around the corner.
I mean, it could happen at any time. Just depends on what we find and when.
Fair. I feel like I don't need to check this.
I also think it would be nice if, at least in this randomizer, instead of tying like the amount of dungeons you need to complete to like the mirror shards or the fused shadows, you could sort of just like arbitrarily choose how many dungeons you want to have to complete.
So it's just like 3. Just you have to.
So
3.
In this case, it would. I mean, with these settings, it would just be 3. But like, you could also set it to be like anywhere from 1 to like 8, or however the maximum number of dungeons are. Because that's what you can do in pretty much like any other randomizer. At least any other Zelda randomizer.
Yeah, I'm also a really big fan. I've only ever done it with Majora's Mask, but having the items you need be something you can find anywhere. So instead of I have to beat the dungeons, I just have to find the 4 remains somewhere, and they're anywhere.
Oh yeah.
So just having
it typically can work pretty well, also.
Yeah. Similar concept. Oh, gosh.
Oh, thank God for that health refill. Was definitely about to die without that.
What would you say is the most, like, important item in this randomizer?
That's a great question. I don't know, honestly. I feel like it would probably have to be either... Yeah, actually, I don't know. Oh, no, that's bad. Alright, well, time to do all of that again.
Are you in, like, one of the caves?
Yeah, I voided out in, like, a bad spot.
Oof. I was saying the other day in your chat that I tried the crowd control. It is impossible to do the like bird minigame on crowd control. Just impossible. Because one explosion, you just fall right off of the bird.
Oh, you mean the fruit pop game?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that I don't think I ever actually ended up doing that when I did crowd control because I just did not trust chat to behave during that.
I was just like struggling to figure out what other checks I had. So I was like, well, I guess I can do this. And it just was not working at all. It's nice to see that they're expanding to so many other games, though. I hope the other Zeldas... Because, like, does Skyward Sword have it?
Have a randomizer?
Crowd control. I know it has a randomizer. That's
Oh,
like...
no, yeah. Skyward Sword currently does not. I kind of wouldn't expect it anytime soon for Skyward Sword, just because playing Skyward Sword on emulator kind of sucks.
Sure. Is that why the rando's not super big either?
Well, the randomizer I don't think is as popular as some others, just because Skyward Sword is a less popular Zelda game overall.
Fair.
Right? It's like there's a ton of people who really like and want to play, the original Ocarina of Time. Not so much for Skyward Sword.
Yeah, just a shame. I put it like top 3. Maybe 4.
Oh yeah, I think Skyward Sword's great, but I do understand why some people have issues with it. Skyward Sword is probably also the Zelda game that, like, I feel like you maybe have to learn the most for the randomizer, or like to.
That's fair. I would put it up there next to like Wind Waker, where there's just a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah, because normally the game's extremely linear, and you don't have to worry about what the actual like internal requirements for certain things are, but suddenly those become very important in the randomizer.
Yeah, like the pumpkin mini games and whatnot.
Yeah, like the fact that you have to have like I guess it's a little like more intuitive when you think about it, but it's like, you have to have the ruby tablet to do a lot of like the lumpy pumpkin stuff, because like that's one of the requirements for like being able to get the magma back up there in the first place. Because the magma is just in Eldin.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the randomizer tries to like shorten things a lot, and that can kind of be unintuitive sometimes. But ultimately, I think anyone who like goes out of their way to start a randomizer will be fine learning that kind of stuff.
True. And also just like, I think of all of the games, I really enjoyed doing the side stuff in that game. I'll admit, my first full playthrough was like 2 weeks ago. But I had a pretty good time. But does the randomizer include things like the bug upgrade or like all the upgrades? Are those randomized?
In Skyward Sword Randomizer, those have been pretty recently implemented. So yeah, at this point they are.
I mean, that sounds
like the like you can like a lot of the items that you can upgrade are like progressive items. Just
right,
like how like the bow is progressive in TP Randomizer.
There was a point where the giant bomb bag used to be progressive too, where it was just like the 4th thing you would get, and then they made it separate. I don't remember why. There was some reason for it.
I feel like I feel like I like it separate more. But I can see the argument that you'd want like Because it is kind of annoying to find the giant bomb bag and not have a bomb bag. It's just like, okay, cool.
It is pretty funny though.
It is funny.
Man, you're right about the hit or miss on the songs. My Zora's Domain is the like when the bridge is on fire and you have to jump
Oh
down.
yeah,
Lake
yeah.
Hylia.
That song in a bad location can be not great.
Yeah. I really want them to adjust the way the songs work in the randomizer. Because there's so many songs that have like part 1 and part 2, right?
Right.
And then the part 2 will start playing for some reason. Something will trigger the part 2 to play, and the part 2 is like a 4-second loop of something, and it'll just play that for the rest of the time you're in a dungeon, and it's just exceptionally miserable.
Yeah, it ends up becoming very annoying. And what's interesting is I feel like, at least as far as like all of the music shuffling that I've experienced in Zelda randomizers, this is the only one so far that is like that can be that annoying.
Yeah, I think it's because of the mini loops that things have.
Yeah, I guess like whenever you're like, going ham on a boss, the theme becomes like very triumphant for those like few seconds that you're wailing on it.
Yeah, except for King Bulblin, where it becomes like absurdly. I don't even know how to describe it. It's the worst possible song to get on a repeat.
Yes, this is why I turned off Music Shuffle.
I have my headset on. Like I said, it plays through my speakers, so my chat has to deal with whatever bad songs there are, but I just hear Gymnast.
Like, all right, chat, you're gonna suffer. Hope you enjoy it.
They'll be fine. Resilient folk. I think my favorite detail in this game of all time is that Ashy, when she takes off her helmet, does like that little hair flip thing, and her hair never moves.
True. I'm sure the hair physics will get there someday. I mean, it kind of did with Breath of the Wild. Every time that I get to the end of a Breath of the Wild run and the horse's mane and tail like flies up in the air because of the like hot air that's going upwards is always funny.
Yeah. I need to finish learning that game. I did like a 12-hour learn Breath of the Wild challenge with a couple other people, and the furthest anyone got was a fight past Thunderblight one time.
Yeah.
Which was...
Breath of the Wild is it's an interesting game to try and just like... It's not really a game that you can just learn for like the 12-hour challenge, because it's very janky.
Yeah, we thought it'd be fun because it's like, oh, it's a 30-minute speed run. How hard can it be? Hard.
Yeah. Very hard to be consistent at, or at least like to learn to be consistent at.
Yeah. This was at least after the new thing where you like wiggle the joystick really fast came out.
Yeah, the BLSS.
Yes. Are you a wind bomb or I don't even remember the other one. But not wind bomb.
Bounce.
Yes. Oh no, bullet time bounce is the other thing. It's like wind bomb or
Stasis launch.
It might have been bullet time bounce. Now that I'm thinking about it. Or bomb impact launch is the other one.
Oh, you mean the naming scheme?
Yes, the naming scheme.
I'm definitely a wind bomb.
The right side of history. I'm personally a huge fan of trick names that aren't just like a description of what is happening.
Oh, like it has some cheesy or like comical name to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are typically more memorable.
The one
Unless,
that
like I said, something like seriously important, like barrier skip.
yeah, but that's we can call it barrier skip. We don't need to call that like you know I can't even think of what a joke name for that would be.
The go through the wall skip.
Yeah, or the name after whoever found it or something. Usually something that big's like a community effort though.
Yeah.
Uh, the one that comes to my mind because I had this conversation with my buddy Emerald at one point. He speedruns a Sonic Adventure 2, and there's a trick called Bofa skip because you use Bofa to boxes to
Right.
do a skip. There's 2 boxes. It's just like, yeah, okay, guys.
Yeah, just use both of them.
Exactly. But, it's nice to see people having fun with things. I feel like, in general, the speedrun community likes to either be exceptionally silly or exceptionally, like, detailed. Like, I don't know. I think the word I'm looking for is, like, analytic.
Serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't even remember what game this is for, but I know there's some trick in some speed game out there just called Greg Egg, because when it was found by some guy named Greg who was thinking about eggs when he found it.
See, it's a little.
It's like, all right. I haven't seen this. I just heard of it, so
Greg really likes
it
eggs.
might be true or it might not be, but that's a story that I heard.
I like it's like a Santa Claus situation. I like to believe that it's true. Greg Egg deserves to be real. Something that I have not gotten over with randomizers yet is my desire to get every single check in an area, regardless of whether or not that's like a smart thing to do.
Yeah, not wanting to orphan things.
Because, like, it probably wasn't worth my time to check the Temple of Time stuff. But it just, I'm already here, and it's just a couple checks. But, like, it's just a couple checks. I really should have gotten somewhere with more checks,
Well, yeah, it's definitely hard, like, on the fly to try and, like, figure out where the best objective place to go is.
Yeah.
Like, which place has the best check density, which generally you want to try to prioritize, check density for things.
Exactly. And, like, I try and remember that, and then I'm, like, in the middle of nowhere grabbing this one check because I don't want to forget about it.
Which tracker do you use?
I use the Linso tracker.
Okay.
I guess I don't use a tracker. Like, I don't have, like, a map tracker or anything like that. I just kind of have
okay, I see.
Yeah, I picked up the randomizer after speedrunning 100% for, like, a year straight. There was a couple checks I had to learn outside of 100%, but not very many.
Yeah, not even 100% does everything.
Yep. However, 200%.
200% does everything, yeah.
Indeed. I've had a couple of randomizers that have had to do 200%. Very fun. I say that, but I'm, like, crying a little bit.
Yeah, those are typically the most infuriating ones, at least in the moment. But then you look back on it and you're like, okay, this was actually pretty funny. But it was awful in the moment, but it was funny that it made me do this.
Yeah, I have a weird history of having the last possible weird thing that I check be the only thing left and the item I need. Don't know how it happens, but
yeah, it's like typically if a check takes longer than a certain amount of time to like do or just isn't convenient to route into anywhere, Like I will just like, that's my gamble. I'm not doing this check, this seed, and we're gonna hope that it's not useful.
I think the worst check in this game by far is that like the boar check in the desert where you had to like ride the boar all the way across the desert.
That one is pretty bad, although in this newer version of the randomizer, they actually put a boar at the start of the desert to
Really?
make that not as bad, yeah.
Oh man, that made me so happy. I needed to read the patch notes apparently.
Because yeah, that I also was like, oh my god, this check is so bad that I may as well just kind of skip it. I feel like.
One day I'll adopt that way of thinking.
I mean, it basically just turns into like a statistics game.
Yeah.
So like at least what I did is not like with these current settings, but with some similar settings a while back. I just generated, I think it was 6,000 seeds.
Oh wow.
And then like parse the spoiler logs to see like what the statistics were for how often certain things appeared where and whatnot.
All right.
To like inform how I would go about my routing, at least in the beginning.
I mean, that's
but there were
really smart.
Yeah, there was some interesting statistics when I did that. I ended up more so breaking things down like by area, instead of like by individual check. And I think the most interesting stats to me were like, you know, when City in the Sky is in logic, it's going to have some important item like 80% of the time.
Yeah, it's got like what, 22 checks and 1 key.
Yeah. And then like on the other hand, Lakebed Temple, for whatever reason, only has a good item like 1/3 of the time, or like 30% of the time. So I was like, yeah, it might not quite be worth it if Lakebed is in logic to like try and full clear it.
I think that might just be Lakebed in logic has too many things required to get everything.
Yeah, because you need Zora armor, iron boots, bombs, boomerang or bow, just to basically get into the temple, and iron boots.
Yeah. I do love how many random checks there are in this game, though. Just like, I'm doing the spider farm right now. I don't know why there's a spider farm check. But there's someone underground growing spiders, raising them up. And you never really need to go here. It's just kind of a random hole. I think it normally has like what? Probably an orange rupee or something?
Probably, yeah.
There's too many rupee chests. I know, like, at least HD has the stamps to make it a little bit better. But it's only so much better. Oh, what? What? I think I transformed into a wolf as I was getting on Epona, and I was like flying.
Nice.
I
know you can transform into wolf when you're like swimming on water, and you'll just like transform on top of the water.
I love that. I have such a hard time thinking about going back to speedrunning now and like not having instant transform.
Yeah, the randomizer does kind of spoil you when it comes to quality of life features. Like the instant text in Wind Waker randomizer is so good, and then you play the regular game again, it's like, oh,
they're so slow. Please talk faster. God, I also just I talk about this like every time I do a rando because it makes me really happy when things that just seem right. Like, have you done Charlo?
Yeah.
I love when things like Charlo give you a bug. Because that makes sense for this homeless guy to have a bug to give you. He's just like, I found this bug, and I'd like you to have it. Thank you for $500.
Yeah, trying to come up with like lore explanations for these things.
Yeah.
My favorite one is whenever Grandma in Wind Waker Randomizer has the bombs. It's like, Grandma, what are you doing with the bombs?
Her secret life.
And why are you sending them through the mail? This seems dangerous.
Also, those birds need to reevaluate their safety precautions. Not checking to see what was in the mail. Could have hurt someone.
I got damaged by something right as you said the word hurt.
I have that power. I wonder if they'll ever make it easier to get the check, like, on the tightrope.
Oh, yeah, that one... I think that's just tightropes in general being stupid.
Yeah, but it's like you... I'm talking about the one in, like, South Castletown, right? You gotta, like...
Yeah.
Claw shot up, walk around, transform again. It's just so long for one check. But also... I don't know. I know, like, statistically I should not be checking these, but also, based on my own anecdotal data, something really good is going to be in one of these super out-of-the-way chests. Because it always is.
Consider South Castletown to be too out of the way.
I consider this check individually to be decently out of the way.
Oh, I see. And if it was the only thing there, I would probably say so, but because there's a bunch of other, like, Sphere Zero stuff around it, I think it's probably fine to, like, go for that one if you're in, like, the Castletown area.
Yeah.
And, like, you have Clawshot, of course.
I appreciate you validating me.
Of course.
So, Gymnast, how many...
Yes.
How often do you find yourself playing games that aren't, like, speedrun related?
Typically just whenever I'm playing games with my friends, I guess. Like, sometimes my friends will ping me to, like, play Valorant or something.
Okay. I know I've seen you play Valorant and Overwatch, I believe.
Yeah.
Do you have any others that you generally play, or is those like the two that you get asked to play?
Not at the moment, no. Those are just the two that I get asked to play.
All right.
And I guess maybe Splatoon 3 also, but I haven't played Splatoon 3 in like a month.
Splatoon's... I wanted to pick up the third one, but I picked up the second one late, and just no one was playing it.
Oh, yeah.
So the third one, I was like, I could grab this, but I have a feeling everyone's going to play it for like a couple months and then drop it, except for the like super dedicated people.
I mean, usually whatever, like whichever Splatoon game is the most recent one tends to have a lot of activity all the time. I'm pretty sure Splatoon 3 is the best-selling one. I feel like I might have heard that, but I'm not like 100% certain on it.
Was Splatoon 2 was also Switch, right?
Yeah, that's like the other weird thing is like the previous game was also on this same console, but I guess they feel like they wanted to get more money out of it or something.
Yeah.
I did actually play, I mean, maybe you've heard this before, but I did play Splatoon competitively when the first game was the most recent one out on the Wii U. Which is also why my profile picture is a Splatoon inkling everywhere.
I did not know that. I know Draconif is a speedrunner who does Splatoon stuff.
Yeah, my friend group is actually what got him to start playing Splatoon in the first place. When Splatoon 2 had been out for a while.
Always love that. I think the part of your friend group that I know is the ones that play RuneScape, like Ace
Yeah.
So I'm usually playing RuneScape with them. Some Valorant, but mostly RuneScape.
Yeah, let's see. I tried playing RuneScape when I was like 10, and I didn't really understand what was happening, so I kind of just got bored.
Yeah, and if you didn't get into it then, it's really hard to get into at this point. At least I feel like that's how it is for most people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Of
Another
all,
bug. Oh boy.
ooh, racking them up.
There's so many bugs.
I do wonder, of all the changes they made to the race settings, I'm surprised Agatha being changed was one of them.
Agatha? You mean
Yeah,
like excluding Agatha?
not having to bring the bugs to Agatha, because like all the other changes are like super out of the way, annoying checks, but Agatha I don't feel like is that bad.
I think with Agatha, it's just kind of like, um, it means that you have to like constantly go back to Hyrule Castle. It's like, oh, I found another bug. Do I, or not Hyrule Castle, but to Castle Town.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like, oh, do I constantly want to keep on going back to Castle Town
which
all the
is
time?
fair, but it also makes the bugs irrelevant, which is sad because like they're also still like in the pool everywhere.
Yeah. I think maybe one way to rectify that, at least for racing, would be to have something like you can only get your rewards from Agatha in like sets of 12 or something.
Oh wow.
So it's like when you like get 12 bugs, like then you turn all 12 in at once and you get like 12 items or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then that solves the having to constantly go back to Agatha problem. But still gives you like, you know, all those checks.
I like that. Maybe like 4 or like pairs. Like it only checks for pairs.
Well, yeah, you could have it be like some customizable. Like,
Yeah.
how many checks do you want, or how many bugs do you want before you can like redeem them from Agatha? And it could be anywhere from like 1 to 12, or some denomination that divides evenly into 24, which there's a lot of. Because there are 24 total golden bugs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, for now, I think excluding Agatha is probably the best choice with what the current options are.
That is fair. I just personally miss being able to have her give me like the spinner or the master sword. And then you get back to that lore thing of just like, why does you have this small child? Who gave this to you?
Oh, I realized I forgot to do something a few minutes ago. And by that I mean I forgot to get a check that I should have gotten, but I can probably get it later.
I am sure it will be fine. Or it's horrible. One of those two.
Yeah, one of the two, yeah.
How? I've needed a new GameCube controller for a while. I don't know if you have any pets, but my cat got a hold of my thumb stick or whatever, the like left joystick, and there's just a big chew mark out of it. Not the most comfortable thing, but
No, I've never had pets, so I'm not familiar with that wonderful experience. of having the pet chew on something important.
Oh, it is quite the experience. Even like the headset I'm using, the initial cable it came with was completely chewed through like a week after I got the headset by one of my cats. It was just such a good cable. She had to do it. She doesn't chew through any of our other cables really. This one was just a special cable. It had to die.
Yeah, my roommates want to get like a dog, and I'm like, we have a lot of expensive technology in this apartment.
Dogs usually are pretty good dealing with that. And like cats can be like, I know a lot of people don't do this for some reason, but we actually kennel trained our cats. So at night when we go to bed, the cats go in a kennel so that they cannot just eat all of our stuff while we're sleeping.
Right.
Or, you know, if we leave for an extended period of time, the cats go in the kennel. And it's similar to a dog kennel where they don't, you know, it's not like a punishment or whatever. It's just, you know, where they sleep.
It's putting the pet to bed.
Exactly. And it's also nice, you know, you take it apart the computer, you need to do some cleaning. The cat doesn't try to get inside your computer because you can put them in the kennel. Just give them a snack or something. Easy peasy. And then I feel like dogs are usually pretty good after, like, they're not puppies anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the safe route is always just to get a plant. Shoutouts to house plants.
Right, yeah. The house plant's not going to chew on anything.
You hope.
Do you hope, yeah.
By the way, I think the most useful item in this is either the claw shot or the lantern.
Yeah, they're both pretty solid choices. The problem is I feel like most items, like there are many solid choices for what like the best item is.
Yeah, I think
Like, I mean, obviously it's not something like the Dominion Rod or the Spinner, because those are very situational.
I think Dominion Rod actually might be the most useless item. It gets you the fewest checks that I can think of. Other than
I think the fishing rod is.
Well, yeah. I think that depends on if you have if it's required for the smell or not.
Yeah, that would depend on if it's required for getting to Snow Peak.
Because if you need it for Snow Peak, then that's still all of Snow Peak. But by that logic, the rod gets you all of Temple of Time. Or a lot of it. I think my favorite item to have is the ball and chain, as it can pick things up from afar. It can kill things, and it can burn webs for some reason.
And blow up rocks.
Yes, and blow up rocks. So it fits a lot of different things. Where I feel like this is like my biggest issue with this game's rando in general. Is just the fact that everything has one use, more or less. Like the fact that the lantern things can only be lit by the lantern. It's kind of frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, there's not a lot of versatility with a lot of checks. It's just like you absolutely need this and nothing else will work.
Yeah. And that's not as fun as some other alternatives. But, you know, it is what it is. Coming from, like, Ocarina of Time, for example, where you can use a bunch of different things to do a billion different things. With glitches on, at least. Because then the best item is the bottle.
Right. Coincidentally, Twilight Princess Randomizer is weird in that the bottle is actually useless.
More or less, yeah. You can use it for a refill.
Yeah. Or I guess the most useful thing it does is it can collect. It either has Great Fairy's Tears or it can collect rare chew jelly.
Yep. To get the
That's
double
about
2
it.
cycle on Ganon.
Yeah.
It is nice
It's
getting
weird
the
because
cycle.
in like every other randomizer, the bottle uh, is useful for something.
What is it super useful for? Oh wait, no. I was gonna say Wind Waker, but it definitely has use because it gets you a couple checks of like the soup.
Yeah, it gets you soup and it gets you. Well, it's only one check in Wind Waker, admittedly, but it also gets you the soup, which is very useful.
Yeah, because you can do the like soup infinite thing,
Yeah.
which is admittedly the only trick in that game I know, but it's a pretty solid one to know.
It was one of the first tricks ever found in Wind Waker.
Huh, that's fun. I always do enjoy hearing about like OG stuff, like how old things are, like back in time in this game being just absurdly old. Trying to think of like what all the bow does outside of Goron Mines.
It's a good weapon, just in general.
Yeah,
If you don't have a sword.
I feel like the best spot for it is in. Well, okay, if you have bomb arrows, that is a different story.
Yeah.
So that's absurdly useful. But outside of bomb arrows, you use it for like Hidden Village, which sadly is not just like an open area, so we never have anything we need there.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, I'm excited for needing to go do cats every rando. Put that knowledge to use again. Stupid lizard ate my bomb. Do you have a favorite hidden skill?
Mortal, I would say.
It is pretty cool. In terms of like cool to usefulness. I feel like Helm Splitter is really cool, but very not that useful.
Yeah. Field attack is also just not very exciting.
Yeah, I do think there's a special place in my heart for the like spin one, whatever it's called. I'm like blinking on.
Oh, the great spin.
No. I guess I realized the spin one would be this great spin. The roll, the one where you like roll
Oh,
around.
the back slice.
Bag slice, yeah. Bag slice without a sword, giving you a sword.
Oh yeah, I recently realized that was a thing. I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh my. Bag slice also gets you a few checks, which is nice. Admittedly, I don't know if those are banned or not.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, 'cause I thought the only things that are banned are like big, like clipping through things and like map glitch and like component out of bounds.
Yeah, going out of bounds, any kind of clipping or map glitch. Obviously, pretty much every LJA. Not moon boots though. I don't know. There's a detailed doc somewhere with all of it.
Yeah, I figured most of like there's like the big ones and nothing that, you know, crazy. Like all the stuff that you could do is like, yeah, I doubt it's winning you a rando kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think, you know, aside from my issue of I want to clear everything the moment I can, my other biggest issue in randomizers is that I want, like, I'll get items for like a dungeon, but that usually also opens up a bunch of stuff everywhere else, and I want to get the everywhere else first for some reason. Just like in my mind, they're equally possible, right? It's random.
Well, yeah, typically in that situation, I try to prioritize like the required dungeon. Or at least in this case, it might not matter so much because we don't have small keys or boss keys. But
Yeah.
usually it's like, oh, I have to like go find the small key or boss key anyway. Or specifically, I have to go find the boss key anyway because boss key skips are banned.
Yeah, I mean, not like we have very many anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this, since we don't have lake bed, it's just we'd have to get the boss key either way. I think that's the only boss key skip.
Yeah, it's the only boss key skip.
Wait, is that Trick in Arbiter's band? The one to go to the left is Wolf? To go straight to the boss key?
Maybe, but I mean, you can just use the spinner over that gap.
True. I think that might be one of the silliest like things, because I feel like I've had people come in and say they did that casually. They were just like, I wonder if I can just jump over here. And they could.
Right. Yeah.
It's a shame the wooden sword can't burn up.
That'd be pretty funny, but yeah. Would make logic a little bit complicated.
Yeah. But we'll leave that up to, you know, Lunar Soap to figure out.
I find randomizer logic is an interesting puzzle to me. I mean, most things are pretty obvious, but there are some. Each game has some weird edge cases that you have to figure out how to handle.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough to just kind of smile and listen to the team talk about things. They seem to be pretty on top of figuring out what to do and how to do it.
This is not the right direction to go. Yeah, I mean, each game it's like Ocarina of Time. The complexity comes in having to like factor in the fact that you can be child or adult, or it can be daytime, or it can be nighttime, and like juggling all of those possibilities to figure out what's logically possible was it really took them a decent amount of time to like figure it all out correctly, at least for like the current implementation of the logic.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask also have to go through a lot just due to the fact that once you start adding in glitches and stuff, there's just so many possibilities for doing things.
Yeah, glitch logic is its entirely like own beast.
Yeah. Even for this game, I remember when glitch logic came out, I was like, yeah, this shouldn't be a big deal. And then I was struggling with like my first seed. It was like, oh yeah, no, you're supposed to do opponent out of bounds here and here and here. And there's like so many, almost exclusively opponent out of bounds, funny enough, that I just never knew about.
Yeah, that's why it's usually nice to like. It's nice if the randomizers have an option to like enable each glitch on like a glitch by glitch basis.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm realizing the skip that I was about to do is technically a clip, so I'm gonna have to be slow.
Yeah, I've almost done that a few times. Not like this specific race, but like the first race that I did with these settings, I got to like the desert and was about to do like the wolf clip through like the side of the fence to not need the door, and I'm like, I don't know if this is allowed or not actually.
Yeah, and I'm sure it doesn't even save much time because like the alternative is just grab the boar, right? But like it, you know, I think I've only ever actually done the wolf clip there because to be able to do the wolf clip and not have the boar, you need to have ball and chain as well.
Right.
And I almost always get there without one of the items needed to do that. Or it's just not worth because I needed the board for all the other checks anyways.
Yeah.
I got a bottle. Living the good life. Finally, I can get Yeto soup.
That's the important thing.
Do you think Yeto and Grandma would get along? Two
Grandma from
soup
Wind
enjoyers?
Waker.
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Just two soup enjoyers with a lot of love.
Have a soup making competition.
I don't think either of them has like competitive vibes to me.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I feel like they would just make the soup and then just enjoy it.
They'd figure out how to combine their soup powers.
Exactly. Now, which one do you think tastes better?
Probably Grandma's soup. This might just be me, but I'm not sure I'd buy that soup made with an ingredient called a reek fish is going to taste very good.
I mean, fish generally smell pretty bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But also, I don't think I would like anything with fish and pumpkin in it. I don't like fish or pumpkin. But on that
I'd say
note,
I'm a fan of fish, but
I have no idea what's in Grandma's soup.
yeah, it's a good question. I don't know either.
So it's mystery soup versus pumpkin fish cheese soup. Could really go either way.
I went through an area and couldn't get one check because I didn't have the item I needed for it. And then in the very next area, I find the item I needed for that one check. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to go back for that now.
But what if that's the item?
It could be the item, but
it also could be useless.
It also could be useless, yes.
Questions. That's like the best and worst thing about randomizers is that that kind of decision could be the difference between like a decently fast seed and an absurdly long seed.
yeah. But that's just randomizer.
Yeah. I think that's what makes I hear about, people in the randomizer communities being like consistently, top racers or whatever, right? And I look at that and it's just like, wow, how can you be consistently better at being luckier than other people?
Well, yeah, that's where like things like obscure game knowledge and like a good sense of check density come in.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This grotto is very annoying.
Which grotto? Or just this grotto? I guess that's either is fair.
That was the Helmasaur Grotto.
Oh yes. The two that came to my mind were the Helmasaur Grotto and the one with all the like toads.
Toads?
Yeah.
Oh, the toad, whatever. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where they're all swimming around.
Yeah, and if you don't have like a slingshot or something that actually hits them at range, you just have to like shield bash or spin attack.
Yeah, or like jump attack and hope that they're close enough.
Yeah.
I'm indecisive on whether or not I want to use Wolf Link or Human Link, and I'm just wasting time transforming between the two.
I almost always just stay human link for the most part, because transforming means you can't use items, and there's so many items to use.
That's true.
Unless I'm just running, but especially in the settings where we have Epona, if you're running like a big distance, I don't know. I could just be lazy about transforming though. Who knows what the optimal like when to transform and when not to is. At least with instant transform. So I know normally it's like if you're going to be running for more than 7 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, Randomizer definitely changes that. I'm sure someone will do the research and
Yeah.
figure out every single point when it's best to and when it's not best to.
It is fun realizing that all of the swords have a different like hitbox.
Oh yeah.
Almost entirely because of the mini game, or not the mini game, the mini boss guy in the Goron Mines, where like with the Master Sword you can just like jump slash at him, and then with everything else you have to use a different method.
Yeah.
So the sword just like doesn't reach.
It takes a full sword combo with the wooden sword to get him.
Yep. I mean, my favorite interaction there is the fact that you just cannot kill Argarok with the wooden sword. It just does 0 damage.
Yeah, that's a weird one. It's like, you think about it, it's like, why were they checking for this specifically?
I like to think they just kind of tried to give things like an armor value. And it just so happens to be that its armor value is higher than the damage taken from the wooden sword.
Oh, I see. So it's like if this weapon doesn't do at least this much damage, it's not going to do any damage, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that making sense.
Or like being the way that they implemented it.
Yeah, I'm sure Taka is getting there with the debug? Is that what it's called?
Decomp, yeah.
Decomp. Brain froze after D and was like, hey, we'll get the other word.
I believe decomp is just over 20% done.
Which is both really impressive and, like, I cannot believe there's so much to do.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I hate this jump. He's specifically trying to jump down as Wolf Link in like the cave near the Elden Bridge. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I fall in the lava, and I'm very sad.
It is fun how lava only does so little damage. I mean, I think in Skyward Sword does like what, 0 or 1 heart?
No, lava does like, well, in normal mode it does 1 heart. Yeah, hero mode it does 2 hearts.
However, if you're wearing the Zora armor, I believe it does like 16.
Oh, yeah, like 16.
Something stupid. Yeah.
I like to think they've just like, whoever decided on the damage multiplier just chose an arbitrarily high number.
Yeah, they're just like, don't do it. Just don't.
I think it might finally be time for me to go back to Orden.
Orden o'clock. Oh, that's unfortunate, lava.
I mean, the lantern was pretty early in logic, so...
Yeah. Which was nice. I think I've almost considered adding the lantern to an item that you start with, just because it's so frustrating to not have. Because it randomly calls for you to have it in so many different areas.
Yeah, and it does... And then once you, like, if you get it pretty late, it typically will then require a lot of backtracking.
Yeah. And that's not fun. Same thing with, like, you know, the Agatha thing, where you have to go back to Agatha repeatedly. Same concept.
Yeah.
Except you have to remember all of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with a map tracker, it's not that bad.
True.
Like, I can just see what all my available checks are at the moment.
I find the time it takes to do that to be, it's like one extra thing. I even struggled to like just do the regular tracker, but it's nice for people to be able to see what you have and don't have.
Like, I mean, I don't show the map tracker itself on stream, just like the inventory that I have. Because yeah, putting the actual map tracker on stream is like, I already don't have very much space, so...
The resource management of your stream screen. I think I just shot an arrow at a lamp post, thinking that it was a moblin. So that was fun.
Those tricky moblin lampposts get you again.
I guess I should say boldin.
Or boblin, yeah.
But the realization that this game does not have moblin at all was a shocker. I believe it's Boblin and Bokoblin are the two enemies, generally.
Yep. And then Twilight iterations, I guess.
Yeah. I would argue that King Boblin's rather moblin-y, but...
Yeah. It kind of seems like he was at least designed after a moblin.
Yeah.
Except he talks.
He does speak. Very important part of this game's lore.
I don't know. Goats, what are we doing? Oh, okay, guess that worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to, actually.
No Howards.
Yeah, there were some Howards, but they seemed to like correct themselves. Interestingly.
I wonder if we'll ever get something to make Howards better. You know, similar to good Zelda RNG, we'll get good goats. They'll just always behave.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That
I don't know
sounds
about that.
far more tricky to implement.
Yeah.
Unless they like just all magnet to the thing. I do
You
feel
don't have
like,
to do anything, they just all run to the pen immediately.
yeah, if you yell at them, they run to pen. Like, that's just it. I am going to use a cutscene to sprint to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Where is that? I guess where are those 2 items that I need that I have to be vague about? Like, I don't have to be vague about them, but I still need Oru's memo to get to the desert, and I still need the spinner to like actually complete Arbiter's Grounds. And double claw shots for City in the Sky, but more so concerned about the memo of the spinner. Oops. This is not what we wanted to do.
I am back.
Welcome back.
I returned to the text, "Ehehe, well done," from Midna. I assumed she was congratulating me on my bathroom break.
So I was mentioning how I'm still missing, or I still have not found Oru's memo yet.
Neither am I.
Probably the biggest thing that I still need. There's still other things that I need, but that's the one that's blocking off the most access to things.
Yeah, I take it you've done the cave then. The hype cave.
Yes, I have done the hype cave. Many hype items.
It was rather loaded. I was shocked. Hype cave's extremely miss for me generally.
Extremely what for you?
Miss, like, you know, hit or
Oh,
miss,
yeah.
but it's almost always just a miss. So I was excited to see it was not a miss.
I feel like I typically find at least something in there, but it might just be something like a hidden skill, and it's like, well, that's not particularly good. But there's usually at least one thing. It's pretty rare for there to be like absolutely nothing in Hype Cave,
Yeah.
even just like statistically.
I do think that it's fun. I always thought that the hype cave just required like ball and chain or bombs, but the logic actually checks for lantern as well.
Yeah,
To
which I
even
think
go
is
into the
fine because like if you like if your brightness settings aren't correct, you basically can't do it without lantern.
Yeah. But as someone who my monitor settings are for speedrunning this game, I have not adjusted them since that.
Right.
So mine was always like really clean. I haven't figured out how to make it look good in OBS, so I think it's usually blind for chat, but it makes it look more impressive. I'm also a big fan of the water minigame with like the barrel, the mallow minigame, and how that looks absurdly impressive because if you just go to the left, you'll like attract a bird, but the bird can't actually reach you.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just... It's like, oh, you know, is it gonna get us? But, you know it's not. The suspense is there.
It's just like, I'm gonna get you. It's like, no, you're not.
Not today. I have the most calming song for while I'm doing it too. Oh, I forgot to check that I have the Hawkeye. That's very important.
Hawkeye coming in clutch.
Oh, yeah. You can use it for the Archer minigame.
That's true, yeah.
It's probably a good thing that that minigame is like only in logic if you also have to beat Goron Mines. But the concept of that minigame being like in CAC logic does sound kind of funny to me. Of just, there's 0 things in Goron Mines, but you still have to beat the entire dungeon just to do the minigame.
Well, yeah, thankfully, like most other Zelda randomizers, if the dungeon, like any checks that rely on beating a dungeon are not required if the dungeon itself is not required.
Oh my god.
Right. I forgot what the requirement for this is.
I'm like hearing the noises you're making of the joystick, and I'm just like, what could that possibly be? Trying to decipher what you're doing. I don't think I'm gonna figure it out.
That'd be impressive if you could decipher where someone was based on the sound of their joystick.
There's some stuff where I feel like you could. Maybe. I don't know. Especially since we don't have
text.
Like if you're mashing like a lot, I'm sure you could be like, oh, they're at bow right now, you know?
Oh yeah, probably. You want forgetting I just hold the B button, to be fair, with this version of the randomizer.
Well, do you still have, wait, you don't have to mash for bow anymore?
Oh no, for bow you do, yeah. But like just for text,
Yeah.
I keep on forgetting I can just hold the B button.
Oh, I do too. I've been mashing for most of the text. I feel like Art's memo is going to be in the silliest spot. Oh, nice. The graveyard has Malomart music.
The Poes have a party at night.
There's like the kid here mourning at the grave. The song just playing. It feels a little off.
Yeah, sometimes the music doesn't really fit that well.
I think this is perfect. Just, celebrating life.
I suppose that's one interpretation of that.
I'm trying to think if it's worth to get water bombs or not for the individual water bomb check.
Yeah.
Or counterpoint, I just do. Is Norgor banned? Hold on.
Probably.
Yeah, let's just.
I don't think
assume it's banned.
Norgor is explicitly stated, but I would imagine it probably is.
I was thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I do technically know how to do this. However, maybe let's not spend the time trying, since it might be banned anyways.
Right.
I would have given myself a little pat on the back, though, if I got it.
It's true. Norgor is a tough trick.
I love how it's common now. Well, love-hate how it's common now. Because now there's Norgor, the frame-perfect button press to continue your run, or Gorge Void, the frame-perfect button press to continue your run.
Yeah.
Both in like the first hour and a half.
I mean, when the route stays the same as it does for how long it's been the same,
Yeah.
it's not too surprising that things like that end up being incorporated to just keep on saving time.
Yep. Yeah, the fact that a sub 3 is still like considered impressive, while we also have almost sub 250 is kind of wild.
Okay, eventually more time saves will be found, I believe.
Me too. I like the hope. Well, at this point, I'm not hoping for time save. I'm hoping for something that like drastically changes the route. 'Cause I feel like we keep getting like tiny little bits of time save, but there keeps just being like one little thing got slightly easier or slightly harder
Yeah.
to save a small amount of time.
I mean, I'm all in favor of things becoming easier or more
Yeah.
consistent. Because just better consistency will be able to make everyone's times go down.
Yeah.
$50 seeds. Excellent.
I think there's like 3 of those checks.
Yeah, there's not very many.
Very important. God, there are so many grotto checks in this game.
Link, I would prefer if you jumped. Thank you.
All of my animals have decided to join me for this race. It's very cozy. I didn't want to kill a Poe, and I really should have just killed the Poe.
Oh, yeah, one of those.
It just kept hitting me. Very aggressive.
Yeah, there are some Poes where it's just like, I mean, I could get by without technically killing this Poe, but this Poe is really annoying, and it's always manages to swing at like the perfectly wrong interval.
Dang Poes. I think my
Hey,
least favorite Poe, without a doubt, is the Snow Peak Poe inside the temple.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're doing the like that one heart piece that's just a little out of the way, like across the weird swinging platforms.
Yeah, then it like rises up and it's like, hello.
Yeah, and then like fighting it up there is a nightmare. And then if it hits you, you almost always fall. That is probably my least favorite room in Twilight Princess at this point. It's
Yeah, I
difficult.
usually just, at least in the randomizer, I just immediately take care of the Poe. It's only like
Very smart.
a few second investment to not get screwed over in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that room is actually pretty fun. Even if the chill post and keys are also kind of annoying, but the super jump is cool.
That is one of my favorite tricks in the game. I hate everything after the super jump because the Chilfos tries to ruin your day. I do enjoy that since both Isa minigames are dead, that area is just super empty. So you almost never need to go to Upper Zor's River.
Yeah. Usually if Isa is in, or at least if Isa 1 is in logic, I'll typically, as like my last two checks, I'll chain doing the fruit pop game into Isa 1. Because they both take a really long time.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't even think about the fruit pop game as like a thing that I should avoid.
I mean, it's not that long to be fair, but it is still fairly lengthy, at least in my opinion.
It's definitely quite the investment.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting down to like my last few checks here.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty close.
Something's got to give at some point. Unless by some like astronomically small odds we did roll an unbeatable seed, but that's probably not what happened.
It's probably some super out of the way chest has the memo, and then everything else is in desert. Because between Arbiter's Grounds and the desert, there's a ton of stuff up there.
True, yeah. Also, I found the validation rupee.
Huge congrats. Because there's just a lot of, you know, like right now I'm getting the underwater chest in North Hyrule Castle or whatever.
Right, North Hyrule Field.
Yeah, Hyrule Field. it's just quite a ways away. And there's the few that you gotta do in, like, Temple of Time and the Grove. I believe the double claw shot skips are allowed? Banned?
Those are banned, yeah.
Okay.
Like basically any item that would be required for Hyrule Castle, you're not allowed to skip.
Yeah, I'm imagining the check where you just like jump down to the chest in South Castle or Hyrule Field.
Oh well, yeah, you can do that.
Okay. And then there's
yeah.
the LJA to the other chest, double claw shot skip. Because
Yeah.
we can't actually skip the double claw shot entirely because we have to do City in the Sky.
But yeah, for this seed, that's true. But like, you can't typically the rules are like you can't complete the seed unless you have all of the required items for Hyrule Castle, even if you could somehow skip them.
Yeah.
I'm also personally a little bit sad that they banned Double Darknut Skip, even though I understand why, but Double Darknut Skip makes routing Hyrule Castle significantly better.
What is the skip there? I think I've just always fought them.
There's a really precise way that you can get the like those two chests that normally require fighting the Double Darknuts, like just by doing precise claw shots in the main room with all the chandeliers.
I'll have to learn that. 'Cause that sounds nice for when I'm not doing the race.
It is very precise. It's like sometimes it's like it takes so long that I question if it's even worth it, but it makes it nice.
Fighting those guys takes a while too. I think my least favorite thing to mess up is the LJA from up there down to that one chest. Because if you mess it up, you have to go like all the way back around.
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad too. Yeah, I don't know why that LJA feels like finicky.
Yeah, I think I've got a slightly more consistent one now because you can do it on like a pillar in the background.
Yeah. Hey, I always do it off of the chandelier.
That's what I used to do, and that I found was kind of finicky. It's like I think there's like openings in the chandelier or something, so the tornado, or the gale will like reach down. I don't know. I've opened up some more checks, but it's still not the desert.
Interestingly, I actually have found the memo just recently.
Ooh.
Logically, it was locked behind a lot. But it was one of those things that technically we could have gotten earlier.
Fun.
Yeah, with how many checks the desert has, I think the desert there's something ridiculous, like an 85% chance that the desert has something useful.
Yeah, I tend to find most things that I need there when it's late in the run.
Sort of reminds me of the experience that I had doing a Wind Waker randomizer race against Linkus at GQX like 5 years ago.
That's the one they
Or
do
not,
at
not
like
5 years ago,
TwitchCon,
4
right?
years ago. No, it was in person. And we just like had our screens tilted away from each other basically. But we still had to both give commentary on what we were doing. And it was like, okay, well, what, like, how do I say what I'm doing without giving away anything?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I found this item. I mean, that seed was like extremely front-loaded for whatever reason, like just by happenstance. So we, like after like 15 minutes, it was just like, okay, yeah, we know that we both have like all of these items that we can talk about.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of how like the lantern was in this seed, but and you know, Hype Cave, right?
Yeah.
So, but I feel like Hype Cave opened up just so much that at that point it could think everything can be anywhere.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny during that race because Linkus actually missed like a pretty early on required item. And then so eventually at some point he was like, yo, this seems like it's gonna be a pretty long seed, huh? But I was like, oh, this tells me that he missed something.
Or he's debating you. One of the two.
Or he's debating me, yeah, but I don't think he was trying to play like a psychological game there.
You never know. He's a clever guy.
Yeah. I think you should definitely do Cave of Ordeals Fairy. It'll definitely be a useful item there.
I'll check it out. You're talking about all 50 floors, right? Like that.
Yeah, that
item.
one, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Once I get the
I'm
memo.
just saying, last time it had something useful for me.
Was it fairies?
I don't know, I didn't check it, but I'm sure it had something useful. So you should definitely go get it.
I'm on my way.
Excellent.
I tried doing a Cave of Ordeal challenge once where it was like, can I do this with 3 hearts and a wooden sword?
Ooh.
And surprisingly, there was really only one room that was difficult. And it was all of the re-deads. Because you can't stun them. And it takes like 30 slashes with the wooden sword to kill them.
Yeah, it ended up getting just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I was doing like some weird shield bash combo. It was
Did you have
I didn't
any
finish
other
it.
items? I assumed you had to have things like ball and chain.
It was only the required items, and I was like the ones that I need. I wasn't supposed to use them to do damage to anything unless it could only take damage from that. Right, so like the chill zards, whatever they're called.
The Chilfos.
Not the chilfos, the freezards. The
freezards,
freezards. I had to use, ball and chain. But outside of that,
Okay, I see, yeah. That makes it reasonable to do still.
yeah.
How many hearts do you currently have, by the way?
How many what?
How many hearts?
I think it's 11 when it goes to the next row. So 11.
Ah, okay. I currently have 12.
Especially since a heart piece is 5, it really comes down to who's found the more containers.
Yeah.
I love watching the little cutscene for the when you move the statues, the characters. It's always fun.
I just realized I accidentally skipped another check. Hopefully that one's not important.
As someone who has not skipped very many things, not frequently have the out-of-the-way things been useful in this seed. I think the spinner's location was the most out of the way that I've found.
Yeah, Spinner was kind of bad. I mean, technically, like, because Bomb Bag was Sphere 0, Spinner is technically only Sphere 1, but
Yeah.
still pretty bad.
And I found the bomb bag, like, fairly late. I don't even remember where I got it.
I got mine from these further away, like chest of the two serpent heads above Lanayru Spring.
Yeah, that was mine too. But I did that kind of late because, you know, it's just those two checks. I did the other one pretty early, which, funny enough, the serpent heads had useful things and the actual island had nothing.
Yeah, the Isle of Riches was just completely barren. That's because Hype Cave had everything.
Yeah. Although the spinner tends to not be very useful, it is nice when the couple of fun spinner checks end up actually having something you need.
Yeah.
I really do not enjoy how many refills there are in this game, though.
Yeah, I think it's just I guess, like, the refill to check ratio is kind of skewed.
Yeah. Like you were saying, there's like 500 checks total. So put that all together, how many of them are rupees, arrows, and bombs? Well, at least I have the magic and Zora armor now. Finally.
Yeah.
Maximum drip.
Eventually we'll be able to customize the magic armor colors.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that that's the only thing that isn't customized currently.
I imagine it's just not very high priority compared to the other tunics, because magic armor is, like, not useful for anything, at least not logically.
No, it is. It acts as iron boots in a bunch of spots.
Yeah, it does, but that's not, like, in logic
I thought it was.
required. No, it's just, like, possible to do. It's not, like, actually required by logic because it's considered to be too obscure.
Oh, okay. I swear I had a seed once that required. It might have been a glitch seed.
Oh yeah, I think it's in for glitched logic, but not for glitchless.
But I had a seed where my iron boots were underwater, and I needed to do. I think it was the in the lake. The one like underwater check. That
I mean, the amount of rupees that we get, it's also just kind of annoying to try to route in using the iron boot, or not iron boots, using the magic armor like that.
Yeah, you go to the bird guy and you just give him a very generous donation.
True, that is one strategy.
But I think that's one of the only places where you can just give away all of your money, no matter what. Because money very quickly, unlike real life, becomes something you do not need.
Yeah, 'cause you only need money for the Carlo donation, maybe for a shop purchase, and then if you get unlucky, if you need magic armor. Or specifically the magic armor check.
Yeah. So what's your current rupee count at?
2648.
Oh my. Have you
I
done?
swear every time I look at the rupee count, it's just completely even. Like green rupees just don't exist.
Oh, I'm at 2074. You basically only get green rupees from like enemies.
They're like
and
enemy
stuff.
drops. Yeah.
Pods.
Oh, yo, I found the slingshot. We're in business now.
That's a very useful item, okay?
Listen, Sphere 0, you have to go to Forest Temple and you have to defeat some spiders.
Or the one check on the way up to Goron Mines.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
you can beat the Boblin archers with them.
Yep. The money does seem to be rolling in. Because have you done like the Goron Heart Piece minigame of the bridge and like Malamar upgrades?
No, I did not do that.
Okay. So that's where a lot of my money went. That and Charlo.
Yeah, that's one of the checks that I tend to avoid. Like I say, it doesn't make much sense to avoid it now, I guess, since you don't have to talk to the Goron first anymore, but it still takes a little bit of time to like actually complete it.
Yeah. I just do it to like use the money in case I end up needing it, question mark. At this point,
Yeah,
I could probably wear magic armor the rest of the rando.
Yeah, I think so far I've only had one seed where like I needed to end up grinding rupees somehow to get the money I needed to like repair the bridge and then like fund Malo Mart.
Yeah, there's way too much money. I almost wish we had the traps on for the races. Because they don't do much damage anyways.
That's true.
Could be fun.
I think Isaac had like traps on few in like the races that he's hosted, but I believe that the French community just has them turned off.
Yeah. I do enjoy how apparently this game just has like a solid race community in the French community.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Something about it. It's funny to me. I think they were talking about this morning. They actually made a hint generator. You can put a seed into this website and it'll give you hints.
Yeah, I think you put the spoiler log into the website and it gives you hints.
Okay. Oh my gosh, a yellow rupee?
Wild.
I know.
I believe I've only found one green rupee of the two so far.
Same. I did find 50 seeds.
Nice.
So. And there was a 50 seed earlier that I avoided. So I think I found most of the 50 seeds at this point.
Yeah, I remember avoiding one too.
Have you
That's
done... Sorry, go.
I was gonna say the model for 50 seeds. It's like from a distance, it looks like it might be something good, and then you get close and you're like, oh.
Yeah, it looked kind of large, honestly, which is fascinating.
What were you gonna ask though?
I was gonna ask if you've done Goron Mines.
Yeah, I finished Goron Mines a while ago.
Yeah, I was shocked that that had absolutely nothing. Yeah, completely
Yeah.
nothing. Because once you add in like all of the, because we have Kisi, right, which made all 3 of the big key parts like actual checks, for it to still have nothing was very shocking.
Yeah. Would have been great to have a hint that said Goron Mines is barren.
I'm buying the 50 rupees from Malmart just because I'm already here. I think it's a good trade. 600 rupees for 50.
Oh, you mean the magic armor check? Yeah.
Yeah. I do hope that the before 1.0, the shops, like all of the checks were, or all of the shop items were checks that were randomized, and they made it just the key items. But I hope they bring it back to being,
Yeah, to be like a proper shop sanity kind of deal.
I feel like, because right now it's what, magic armor, and I almost got this so long ago.
It's just magic armor, the slingshot, and then the Hawkeye and the Hylian shield in Mallow's Hacker Eco shop.
Yeah. I finally did get the memo, and it's hilarious because I almost got the memo like hours ago.
Yeah, this is one. Yeah, because that's one of the chests you can LJA to.
You can LJA to it?
There's a precise LJA that you can do to get to it. Yeah.
Okay. I know the backslice method.
Oh yeah, backslice also works.
But I think I don't remember why I didn't get it. I might not have had backslice, but I've considered coming back for it since having backslice for a while. And it was just like, meh, I'll wait. Because I got everything else there already. Darn. At this point, it's just the double claw shot. That's like a necessary thing.
And Master Sword if you don't already have it.
Yes, I need exactly one more sword. I feel like both of the swords were in kind of weird spots that I've gotten.
Yeah, the first 2 swords that I got were like just kind of right next to each other.
I'm assuming you got the ones. I guess spoiling that is not smart.
No, but potentially not.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Ashay, so I assume you got the sword, at least one sword from her.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot that that's where I got that sword. I think I thought it was somewhere else in Zora's domain. My other favorite check to find in the rando is when you find a bug underwater in a chest.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
I like to imagine that there's some kid, like I just found an ant underwater, and like someone must have really hated this ant to put it in a chest and then dump it in the water.
Yeah, or like the underwater Goron just has it on him.
Yeah, he's like, this is my buddy, and I want you to have him. Please take good care of him.
Oh, wow. I got majorly wrecked. And majorly wrecked again.
I know you have a lot of heart, so I can't imagine you're that majorly rigged.
No, I'm not like about to die or anything. I just got knocked down from a very high location.
I blame Pose. I don't even know where you are. I'm just blaming Pose. Pose are mean.
I mean, it was mostly my fault. I just wasn't really paying attention.
Oh, well, then I blame you.
Yes.
I'm silly harpies. So many heart pieces. What is the fastest race setting seed that you've done for this? What's your race PB?
I think it might still be a 218 I got on one of the asyncs.
Dang.
It was basically just like you get everything within like 40 minutes and then just do the dungeons.
That sounds very nice.
Yeah. I don't remember what the dungeons were, but I specifically remember just like it's like, oh, we're just gonna get everything. Okay.
Now we're just done.
And of course, with Keyzion, the things are a lot faster.
Yeah.
Generally. Because you don't have to... If you're in Go mode, the dungeons all become very short, typically.
Yep. I think the one that's the longest either way is Arbiters, because you still have to do all the pose. They do not care if your keys or C's.
I'm hoping that eventually there will be some sort of, like, dungeon shortcut option, at least for, like, Arbiter's Grounds and Goron Mines, specifically. So otherwise, you basically have to go through those dungeons in full.
Yep. Which isn't the end of the world, but I feel like Goron Mines is still decently fast if you don't need anything.
Yeah, that's true. Snowpeak is also extremely fast if you don't need anything.
Yeah. That's like real fast. Right now I'm trying to decide how I want to go about, like if I should just try and race through the dungeons or not. Because I am indeed missing the one more sword.
Yeah, that's like, especially because you don't, there's no keys to collect, you're not ever going to be like, oh, well, it's, you know, I still have to at least collect the keys, so it's worth it to go through. It's like, no, you could just, those swords could be in Hyrule Castle, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, without Treasure Room, that would be pretty insane, but... Rando always has a way of just being a randomizer.
Indeed. There's gonna be something silly.
also excited to see whenever like the team gets around to doing entrance randomizer.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. I tried the beta quest thing at one point, and I believe I got soft lock. No. My game crashed. That's what it was.
Ah.
It was just crashing regularly.
Yeah, the entrance randomizer for this game shouldn't, at least like logically, it shouldn't be too bad to implement, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like most entrances should just work logically. There's no weird like time of day or like age shenanigans like an OOT that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like the tricky thing about entrance randomizer is you have to think of like different things that entrance randomizer could potentially screw with that like aren't something you have to think about with the default layout of the game.
Yeah, like what happens if it sends you to Death Sword and you don't have any way of defeating him or getting to like the item? Because I believe all of the bosses, when you are in the fight, you can't just like save and quit and go out. It puts you in the fight again.
No, I believe it takes you back to the beginning of the dungeon.
I think it does
you-
for that
If
fight,
you
but I
save
know
warp in a boss fight.
Argarok sends you back to that room and you still can't leave.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you
I
have
kind
to
of assumed it was
die
like that
for Argarok.
because in other Zelda games, like if you save warp in the boss room, you just go back to the beginning of the dungeon the boss is in.
Yeah, I learned the hard way that is not how it works with a couple of like bosses. I don't know if that's how it works for every boss, but I know if you save and quit fighting Argarok and if you save and quit fighting Star-Lord, it puts you back in that room and you can't leave until you either die, which puts you outside of the room, or you kill it.
I suppose that makes sense because it is, at least those two specifically are very annoying to get back to.
Yeah, not very fun. Well, Star-Lord's not that bad. It's like that straight line.
Yeah, Sally's not that bad.
Argarok's pretty bad.
Casually, Argarok is a while because you have to go through the spinning blades or the spinning fans.
Yeah. Which you kind of have to do that in the randomizer too because of the check that's up there.
I mean, you can claw shot that grate from down below.
True. I think for some reason I've just always done it the casual way. Although it did take me a little while to remember how to do it casually.
Yeah.
I think stopping the first fan is still allowed, right?
It is allowed now because they made the trick repeatable, yeah. So, like, even if you fail it, you can still, like, turn it off again, basically. By trying it again.
I just got smacked by a Poe onto a chest, and the chest reset my falling animation.
Nice.
So I instantly stood back up. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
This is what we call being optimal.
Yes, I optimally got smacked in the face by a Poe. For speed. I wasn't going to clear the desert, but then I realized if there's something ends up being here that I didn't get, coming back will be a nightmare.
Yeah, the desert is one of those places.
I think I am missing one check here, but I am going to ignore that one. I'm sure it will be fine. Or I'm being yelled at. One of those. I don't think I've ever done a stream where I could not read chat, because I don't usually do rando races. It's usually just regular races, and knowing where the other person is not a problem.
Right.
You know, and other things, you can't really get hints that are impactful that I can think of. But the concept of just like screaming, no, that one thing you needed was right there, or like walking past the thing and forgetting about it or something.
Yeah, there have been a couple instances where like there was one race where one TP random race where the logical way that we had to progress is we had to get a bow that was on the bug that was like right in front of Aiza's river.
Yeah.
And we had to use that bow to play Aiza's minigame to get Gale Boomerang, I think. But when I went to go look at that check, I looked at it and I only looked at it for like a second and I was like, oh, that just looks kind of like a bug because I don't see anything because the bow is like very thin and just kind of blends into the background. So I assumed it was just a small bug I couldn't see. And chat was like, no.
Go back.
What are you doing? Yeah, chat was kind of screaming at me at that one. There was also some other one recently where I was on the way to get, I think it was the double claw shots in a check. Like I didn't know the double claw shots were there, but chat knew that the double claw shots were there. I was on the way to get that check, and I was like, no, I feel like going to do something else right now, and I just completely ditched the check for like a solid 10 minutes.
It's just like, what are you doing? You were right there.
Yeah. But that's what makes randomizer races fun for chat to watch.
Exactly. And I honestly kind of did that with the memo. I feel at least, where it was just, oh man, I was right there for so long. Oh, my Arbiter's Ground music is terrible. Love this.
Have you found the ball and chain by any chance? Because I have not.
I have not.
Okay. It's probably somewhere weird.
I don't think it needs to be in logic at all.
No, yeah, it's not required for anything. At least, like, as far as the required dungeons go, it's not required for anything.
Yeah. It would be nice for Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
That's about it. Oh, good. I have all of the scents now. I think the silliest thing that I've done in this seat is I got the reek fish scent without the ball and chain.
Yeah, that's definitely not something that I would do until I had the ball and chain.
I was just like, man, it'll be really fast since I'm already here and I already have the earring. Just like, if I end up needing it, this is really smart, I think. But, you know, big gamble. Did not pay off. Not yet. Well, no, because I got the post scent now, so it's gone. I do wish the instant skip cutscene thing was like toggleable or something, so you could still do some skips.
Still do the Darknut skip in Hyrule Castle.
Yeah.
No, I think it's as for randomizer. I think it's fine that you still have to fight him.
Yeah, I don't mind it too much. It more of just like throws me off on a couple things because I'm used to mashing. Like I'll frequently just mash, anyways, and then just pause.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say that we don't want to entirely get rid of like the muscle memory for that, just because you know we speedrun the base game.
Yeah.
I know that when I do TP and for the 3D Zelda challenge, I'm gonna at some point hit R and Y and be like, why am I not transforming?
What's happening? I do love how every other game keeps getting better and better for the 3D Zelda challenge, and TP keeps being just like, isn't it half of it at this point?
Not quite half, because well, actually, no, yeah, it shouldn't quite be half, but it's probably something like it's like more than 45% of it. I'm pretty sure.
It's very silly, but I also feel like it might be the most, like, one of the simplest to learn. Like, I feel like if I were to learn the 3D Zelda challenge, even with 45% of it done, it would still be like I'd spend months learning the other games where I feel like you can learn TP in a couple weeks.
I don't know if I would say. I mean, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are so short that, like, I don't think it'll take a couple of months to learn them.
Fair. Especially since there's, like, easy alternatives for Ocarina of Time. If you don't want to do... Well, that's a big time loss.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time, you basically have to do SRM. But there's, you know, it's only one trick you have to learn.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, if you do... Because I know the CAC route. That's what I did for that game. Because I only ever ran on the N64. But that is much slower in comparison, even though it's still only like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's slow to beat Ocarina of Time in the same amount of time it takes to get the Master Sword in Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I mean that Ocarina of Time route is just like the stars have been aligned for this to happen, basically.
Yeah.
Just the sheer coincidence of the entrance value of the Deku Tree, plus the value that the Blue Warp tries to give its entrance the first time, happens to be Ganon's Tower.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there also are a lot of entrances in Ganon's Tower itself, so I guess it's not surprising that one of them happened to be there.
But, like, if it was a bunch of other ones, you would have been pretty... Like, you would still need items to, like, progress, right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, before Ganondorf, I think they just did credits warp from Donongo's Cavern, basically.
Huh.
With Ferrari's Wind on B as Adult Link.
I don't think I got to see that. It's funny how a lot of old school things are so much more complicated than new school stuff, even when new school stuff is complicated. Because Ferrari's Wind on B, I feel like was a thing that came around way later for like Hundo stuff. But it's crazy that it used to be a credits warping thing in any percent.
Yeah, I mean, not for very long, because I think Ganondorf was figured out pretty quickly once, like, the concept of wrong warping was figured out.
Yeah. It was just trial and error at that point.
It was the realization that, oh, like, these entrance calculations work out to Ganon's Tower.
Which is probably easier than what I was imagining people did, which was just see where everything could warp them to.
I mean, I think that's what they did originally. Until, like, I don't know, someone probably like MZX or whoever was able to figure out, like, what the specific values for, like, every entrance were.
Yeah. I do enjoy me a good OOT explanation video.
Documentation is important.
Very fun.
Oh, speaking of documentation, did you see that Taka found what the actual, like, internal name for the boss flag is?
I don't remember what it was, but yes, I saw that post.
But yeah, so it was hold on, let me look at it again. It was CDMR_skip info. And skip info kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
At least a little bit. It's like, what does DCMR stand for? Or CDMR, excuse me. And it turns out that at least the DMR part stands for damage reaction. So it's damage reaction _ skip info. So
I wonder if it's there for like there's a lot of things activated.
yeah.
I was trying to think of like maybe there's some specific instance that they like made it for, and then it just kind of
Yeah,
ended
that's
up being
probably
there.
what happened. Like there's a specific thing they made it for, and they just ended up reusing it.
Yeah.
For a lot of other things.
And just didn't change it.
These names are also made by people who primarily speak Japanese as their first language, so
true.
Like a lot of like a lot of the meanings sometimes are like just, you know, the romanized versions of like the Japanese pronunciation.
Yeah.
Not in this instance, but like, you know, that's why you have things like, you know, BG _ Isiateki man or whatever.
Which it's a good thing that speedrunners have a very large, like wide based community. So we have people who speak all different languages. We have people who are into all the different like coding and whatnot.
Yeah.
So we have the fact that we have things like people doing the decomp, randomizer is just so common everywhere by just community members making it. Practice ROMs for these old games really kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's also nice how like when one game is able to kind of figure it out, it's a lot easier for every other game to kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
Once you know, one game is able to get the ball rolling for that kind of stuff.
It is weird how I heard you talk. You know, there's the Oot MM like combo rando now.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird to think that like all of the other, so I'm pretty sure SS, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker are all on the same engine, right?
Sort of.
Like sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But the fact that they basically will never mesh together because even though they're kind of the same, they're just not nearly like, even the fact that Wind Waker and TP have such different amounts of like modding scenes. And I feel like they're similar in build complexity and like community size.
I mean, it's generally just like whoever is interested on working on things will work on them.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, different people are interested in Twilight Princess versus Wind Waker. Also, I finished, by the way.
Oh, you are just done. Okay.
Finished at 2:33:18.
I do have everything to finish now, but I have to finish the temples.
Right.
Oh my. Oh, I guess okay. Funny enough, that beats all of my fastest times, and I will probably also beat my fastest time with this. I've never had anything faster than like 3 hours.
Yeah, once we found the memo, and then, or I guess not the memo, but once, like, getting the second claw shot and the master sword in Arbiter's grounds allows us to essentially skip everything in Arbiter's after the door, and then you can just skip everything in City in the Sky.
Yeah, you can go straight to the boss. I was just looking everywhere. The memo took me forever. And then I imagine you got most stuff in the desert, and the double claw shot was like the first thing.
Yeah.
Because I was looking everywhere for that, because it could have been claw shot or grounds, right? Or grounds or sky is the next thing. But did you get the upgraded Dominion run?
I did, yes.
I thought that was
Turned
decently
out to
out
be
of the way.
useless, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I checked almost all of the owl statues, and they were all garbage.
Yeah, it was basically just the spinner. The spinner was in a bad spot for where the bombs.
Yeah. I do think that yeah,
because we also had Lantern going into like the like was it East Hyrule Fields or like Elden Field or whatever for the first time, so we can clear everything there.
yeah.
Except that one check, and I guess like go around Springwater if you don't do that. So
And
it's
then,
like, well, there's not really much of a reason to come back unless it's like, you're down to your last checks.
yeah, I finished the Goron Mines and was like, all right, I'm going to do Archer minigame, get all the other things here, and then I went outside and hit the bomb to get the spinner.
Yeah, so interestingly, you can actually get that chest without explosives.
Really?
Yeah, so like in the normal path, you blow up the first rock and then you like run for a little bit, and then there's those vines.
Yeah.
It is possible to claw shot those vines from on top of Epona, from a precise position.
Well, I know you because you do that in the Hundo route, but I thought you still had to destroy the top one. The
top rocks you can get around by just LJAing to the left. Yeah.
Wait, why didn't you die? Excuse me. I'm very glad that I know the backup there. Hold on. Is there something wrong? Chat? Are there actually like some... Is my thing just replaying a bunch of times? Or is there actually a lot of people that need to get banned?
Yeah, so this seed...
Okay.
It was basically just the spinner placement that was kind of... I guess both the combination of the spinner and the memo placement kind of was the bottleneck, because we got a lot of things very quickly.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I feel like it would have been really easy to miss the claw shot. Like that first claw shot opened up a ton. But it was on that spot that you were saying earlier, because you really don't need to go to upper, like the Naru Upper Zora River. Like you almost don't need to go there for anything. I went there because I did the fruit minigame, like pretty early on. And then I thought, we start out with a fishing rod, so that might be, like, the bottle might be something useful. Yeah, of course, everything tends to be rupees. So apparently there are a lot of bots in my chat today.
A lot of bots.
Yes, I can't see chat still, but I do have an animation that plays when someone gets banned. And I hear the animation playing for that.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like a gunshot, and it just is continuously going off. To the point where I had to go check and be like, is it broken? Is it just like playing indefinitely? And they were like, no, it's just bots. But I figured I could check considering the race is over, more or less.
Yeah, the race is over. I'd say you can look at chat again now.
Yes. I figured I'd continue chatting until I'm done here. This shouldn't take me too long. I do hope that this game continues to grow, because I feel like the race community, we're figuring it out. I'm seeing the rules change like every other week almost.
Yeah, the rules are still being figured out.
Another year or so, I'm sure we'll start having our own little leagues like Wind Waker has.
Yeah, probably. Seems like it's already more active than Skyward Sword was, which is nice. But I guess it's not surprising that more people want to play Twilight Princess.
It is a pretty popular game. It is funny to me that so many people don't like Skyward Sword. Especially, I feel like it would have a good rando.
The rando is pretty good, but like there are some people who just don't like motion controls.
True.
So the rando, like, there isn't really a choice that they have there. Like, if you want to play Skyward Sword rando, you have to use motion controls.
Exactly. The HD version is nice, and I really enjoyed having the option to turn it off. For most of my playthrough, I did still have motion controls. But there were a couple. Like, I know for the final fight, I actually swapped to button controls just for shield bashing purposes. On HD, that is. Oh.
Yeah. Maybe someday Skyward Sword HD will get a rando.
I'm sure it's just so much more difficult to adjust things on that version.
Well, there's actually a pretty there's a pretty decent way you could go about like patching the game for a randomizer. Basically both the 3DS and the Switch homebrew scene support this, but there's a kind of patching you can do where basically like if you provide like a modified like version of some game file, like some internal file, right? Like Link's actor file or whatever. You can set the patching so that like if the homebrew patcher sees that you've provided any files of your own, it'll just use those files instead of like the game's own internal files for like whatever you want to modify.
Ah, interesting.
So you don't have to like repack the entire game to like use a modification, which is nice.
Yeah, I know this game actually you can run it on console with the REL files.
Yeah.
But I also know that's one of the biggest issues of making adjustments because you can't just like there's a lot of size constraints.
Yeah, like pretty much every other Zelda randomizer just straight up like modifies the entire game and repacks it essentially.
Yeah.
This one does not, which is limiting in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much they're still able to do, like, regardless. Because I remember when they made that decision a while back, I was like, yeah, this is cool that we can play on console, and, like, it's, you don't require any changes to the base game, which makes it, like, less of a gray, I feel like it's still a gray area as far as Nintendo would be concerned, but just, like, maybe less of a gray area.
I mean, if Nintendo hasn't seemed to like try to take down any sort of randomizer project, at least for Zelda games yet. So I don't think as long as it's very clear that no project is distributing assets, then
yep,
it's probably fine.
That was just like one of the reasons originally they kept it REL file instead of just making it patch a new ROM.
Yeah,
but I
believe from what I understand, one of the current troubles with, at least with the way things are set up now, one of the issues with trying to do like patching the entire ISO is that if they want to support the Wii version, they wouldn't be able to do that with the web generator, because they would basically have to like load the entire Wii ROM into RAM, and there's not enough RAM to do that basically on the web generator. There would be for the GameCube version, because the GameCube version is only like 1.3 gigs, but the Wii version is like 4 gigs.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So.
Shocked at the size difference. Damn, I didn't get my headphones off in time to hear the Argorok scream. Stupid audio cues.
Yes, I mean, like, the being able to just patch individual files is really nice. It's what we do for, like, the Ocarina of Time 3D randomizer.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Wind Waker randomizer, being able to just, like, download a little thing, run it, easy peasy.
Well, right, and that's, like, that's basically what I think the TP randomizer might have to just do one day. Even though the web generator is very nice, it'll probably change to end up just generating like a patch file, or basically some file that just says these are the modifications that need to be made to the game, and then like you download that and you use that to patch, you know, the ISO that you have on your own system, and then that's how you end up playing it.
Yeah. Or just, you know, add both options sort of thing. So you can patch it or use the web generator based on if you're on GameCube or not. Just, it sucks to think that we'd be limited in some things because of trying to keep it available for Wii. When I imagine most people do it on GameCube anyways.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there is no like this is clearly the perfect way to do this kind of thing when it comes to these things. Well, okay, the perfect way to do it is you can distribute a program that also distributes the ISO for you, but that's illegal. So that's not an option.
Yes. Oh, my webcam died. Fascinating. It's not a stream without technical difficulties. Will I still be able to get this done before? I might be close.
I think you'll be able to do under 3 hours, yeah, because you don't have to. The longest thing you'll have to do in Hyrule Castle is fight 2 Dark Nuts.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and Ganon.
Well, again, yeah, but from like opening the door to the end of the run is like 6 minutes if you get even somewhat decent Zelda RNG and just do like the speedrun strats.
Yep.
For the fights.
Oh my! I was trying to hold B to get through the text.
Also, I do like
no
your
text.
link colors.
Thank you. Big fan of blue and pink.
I'm personally all pink except for white hair.
That's a good look.
I think it was the Christmas pack where Link had white hair that convinced me he looks pretty good with white hair.
The Silver Fox.
Is this the end of stream? Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to do another one.
Not today. I'd be down to do more in the future. If you are interested.
Yeah, we could always do more.
This is the only one ever.
This is the only one ever. It's like that GDQ. There's some GDQ show where like you run a game on there once and it can never be run again.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I think it's called like Never Seen Before or something like that. Never Before Seen.
Something like that, yeah.
I've got a pretty solid rotation of shows over there on the hotfix. I do find the I don't know if there's anything they could do to change it, but I do find like the difference between the hotfix and the regular GDQs to be rather staggering in like numbers.
Oh yeah. Well, I think part of that is just because like somehow like people just know that GDQ is once in the winter, once in the summer.
Yeah.
And then there are like news outlets, like online news outlets that'll be like, oh yeah, AGDQ is happening this week.
And then once it starts happening, it's live for the whole week, so everyone shows up.
Right, and there's, a donation, there's like a total donation counter, so people keep on coming back to see what it is, or just see what games are being played. There's a
Yeah.
schedule all in one place.
Mm-hmm. I definitely do feel like they've been doing a really good job on the hotfix stuff as well, which is cool. Because they didn't do the hotfix until like many, many years of doing the regular GDQ.
Yeah, I don't remember when the hotfix started actually, but I'm pretty sure it was. I feel like if I had to estimate, like the latest or the earliest it could have possibly started was like 2018, I think.
I was thinking between like 16 and 18, yeah. When did GDQ start?
The first GDQ was Classic Games Done Quick in 2010.
The earliest I can think of is 2013, so I'm way off.
I believe even though it was like their first marathon, they managed to raise $10,000.
Dang.
Which is really good for like a marathon that just is,
popping up.
is just for the first time.
Yeah, especially 2010, like that was Justin TV still.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
If you have the seed, by the way, I'd love to know where the ball and chain actually was.
Oh no, we didn't. I don't think we generated a spoiler log with this one.
Oh, that makes sense. It's the race seed.
Yeah, so I don't know. Don't know where the other sword was either.
Yeah, because I know you're right. They were close to each other because one was Zora's Domain and one was Ashi. But I got those because I went to Ashi like really early, and then I don't remember when I went back, but it was pretty late.
Yeah, I definitely was able to get both of those swords like at the same time. Because the first time I got to Zora's Domain, I had Boots, Boomerang, and Lantern.
Because they were all in Hype Cave.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest downfall for me, was doing Hype Caves super late. Because I didn't get bombs.
Right, yeah.
Wherever the bombs were somewhere like decently early, but I just didn't go there until later.
Yeah, it was on top of one of the snakeheads. Like I got bombs like 15 minutes in.
Just smart to go there really early.
And then yeah, I just changed that into Hype Cave and found everything.
Ooh, wrong spot. I do enjoy how easy this place is with the bomb arrows. I guess I have skills I could have been using. Oh well.
I'm not sure what the like ideal hidden skills to use on Dark Knight are.
You can do like Helm Splitter and Bag Slice to not have to run around them. I don't know if it's actually faster at all, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, I was sad I didn't end up finding Mortal Draw.
That is what I have. I have Mortal Draw. I didn't get anything past that, but that does mean I can 2-cycle Ganon.
Yeah, I only ended up getting Helm Splitter.
But I think...
And I even had both Great Fairies Tears and Rare Chew Jelly, but...
I don't have the Chew Jelly, but I do have the Tears. Because I got 3 out of 4 bottles. I think the only one I didn't get is... Milk? Yeah, didn't get Milk. Which is another one that I enjoy finding. Just like, who put this half a bottle of milk in this chest in the middle of nowhere?
Someone didn't feel like finishing their milk.
Santa's milk. In the Christmas theme pack. They should update it to have milk and cookies. There you are. Stand still fight. It's too bad we never get light arrows in this game.
I don't know if we want light arrows in this game from a randomizer perspective.
Nah, it'd be great. My Wind Waker randomizer that I did was my second ever, like last week, and I got light arrows as the third. It was like I got the bow, fire arrow, light arrows as my first 3 checks.
That's pretty good.
And I had some people in chat telling me that if I wasn't bad at Wind Waker randomizer, this would have been the babyest seed of all time.
I mean, yeah, light arrows kind of just do destroy
everything.
Almost every enemy in Wind Waker.
It's very fun. Especially since I am not very good at that game, being able to just remove every mini boss was enjoyable. Come on. Come on. Almost there.
No light balls for you.
There we are.
Zelda's doing her best to make sure the seed lasts more than 3 hours.
I think it might be 4 minutes. No, I have... It'll be really close. So I do have the Mortal Draw. Oh, no. So I should be able to 2-cycle. And then I can't 2-cycle the horseback, but that's barely faster anyways.
Is it just 2 mortal draws? Or, okay, no, yeah, you do need, like, fairies tiers.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the way that I was trying to do it was just do, like, the regular strat for the first cycle and then do the powered up mortal draw, but I guess just a regular mortal draw is enough for the first cycle.
Yep. I think it's technically faster to great spin if you have it, but mortal draw is enough. I think they do the same damage.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. Let's see if I get the good RNG here. The last few seeds, he's done the thing where he runs to the right, which is like the 5% chance or whatever.
Personally a fan of when he runs like really far to the left at the beginning.
Yeah, that's nice.
This is just a lot easier to follow because he doesn't really do like a juke with that pattern.
Both of the other patterns he does a juke, but I'm actually surprised that I hit this one. I usually miss this juke that he does, that first one. But when he does, like one of the chances he just like keeps going straight, right? And it's like pretty rare. But that one he does like a juke every single time. It's pretty bad if you're not like right on top of him. Do I have time to put on iron boots? The question is, do I want a sub 3 or do I want to wear iron boots? This is tough.
These are the choices we have to make. Just missed it.
Oh, I thought I could do it.
Oh, congratulations on 3 hours exactly.
Yep. 30000.88. Well, GG. Thank you again for doing the race.
Yep, GG's.
That was
I
a
enjoyed
fascinating
ambiguously talking about things.
It was fun. There are also not so ambiguous things.
Well, yeah, I mean, if there's something where I'm like, I feel like we should both have this at this point.
Yeah,
It's
especially
like
with like there really wasn't much out of the way.
yeah.
I do think it's hilarious that the double claw shot was in that really annoying spot with the boar.
Yep.
Because if we did not have that boar there, I wonder how much that would have changed the seed.
Yeah. I mean, I think I still would have gone for it, but because I haven't skipped it in a while, I don't think, even though it's like kind of annoyingly out of the way in the desert.
Yeah, I always go for it, so I would have, but I could see it being something very easily skipped because it is the individual thing that's out of the way. The one thing I did skip was the one you have to ride the P hat over to or LJA to,
Yeah, that one's pretty out of the way also.
but I have no idea what was in that chest.
That would be water bombs.
Ah, fascinating.
Yeah, super important.
I got a lot of water bombs in this scene. Suppose I can say hi to chat. Hi, chat. And hi, Gymnast chat.
Hi, SwiftIke's chat.
Oh
You're all very cute.
my god, no way. Your chat's cute too. This is crazy.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the race and our discussions of various topics.
Thank you again for coming. If you're ever interested in doing some more races, we'll have to get... I'd love to try and build up the racing community some more over here in TP, get some other people involved. I know Linkus was hitting me up not too long ago about getting it set up. I don't know how familiar he is with the randomizer or just TP in general, but could be fun to get some more people trying it out.
Yeah, I'm sure once we get like an actual competitive racing scene going, I think it'll end up being pretty healthy just because this game is a game that a lot of people like to play.
Yeah, I would agree. I do wonder what the biggest change would be to make it better. It might honestly be changing where you start.
Yeah, I think that would honestly, well, from an like interesting race standpoint, that would probably be the best thing to do.
But outside of that, it's fun to have little, which is I think an important part of a randomizer. And it opens up a lot whenever you get something, which is also very nice. But I don't know what else you have going on today. I won't hold you here forever. Thank you again. And thank you, Gymnast Chat. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know already, you can find SwiftIke at twitch.tv/SwiftIke. And also on Twitter, I think it's the same handle.
Yeah, I have an underscore, but if you look for SwiftIke, you'll find the same thing.
And SwiftIke likes to talk about many topics in speedrunning and having it be more progressive.
I
So
do have a history of that.
If you love speedrun politics, SwiftIke is the guy for you.
I'm glad that is the thing you know about me. And my advocacy for pausing the timer to take care of your health.
I mean, I think it's an important discussion too.
I tried not to bring it up today, actually, despite the fact that I really need to go to the bathroom. But it's very hit or miss on people's thoughts. Like, some people are very aggressively against that as a concept, surprisingly. Well, it's surprising to me, at least. I don't know where you stand on the concept of pausing the timer in appropriate locations or at all.
I do think there's a bunch of merit to it. depending on the situation. I'm not hardline, like, there's never a situation where the timer should be paused or anything like that.
Yeah.
There is room to improve, basically.
Yeah. The longer I've been thinking on it, my current stance is that I feel like there should be less rule, because like right now there's like that thing where most games have you can run on an emulator until like top 15% on the board, right?
Yep.
And I think in general we should be more lenient with runs that are not in that top 15%, and we should more heavily look at the runs that are in that top 15%. And then pauses become allowed because we're not like who cares if someone with a 345 in TP paused a bunch, because ultimately it's just kind of on the board for them, right? Like it being on the board is not for the board so much as the person's individual, like, because they want to be on there. But then when you have more people looking over the top 15% runs, you can judge each pause individually and be like, yes, this was clearly they were doing something funny, or, you know, it looked like he paused, went to the bathroom, or checked on something, came back on pause, continued. And there's a lot more leeway. Like, I think that's why we have mods, at least.
I mean, it definitely becomes more of a gray area if you have to try to, like, subjectively determine if the if the reason for the pause was good enough to justify it being a pause, but
true.
Not to the extent that most people would probably think.
Yeah, but I do feel like we have a lot of mods. We have enough to where, I don't know. I had a conversation with Fino about it not too long ago, where it was like, we already have people who cheat, and we don't allow anything. So we're clearly not stopping cheating, so why not we allow more people to run? Via adding things like breaks and whatnot. But, you know, it's subjective.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm too convinced that, like, cheating is related to that, but...
Well, that was what a lot of people had as the argument against why you shouldn't pause, was
I see.
Integrity. I remember Demon's example for why it was bad was pretty fun, of what if people pause, go in the other room, practice the trick on their second setup in the other room, and then come back. And I'm just like, well, if you're dedicated enough to have a second setup in your kitchen, albeit.
Yeah, that's one of more of those gray area things.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, okay, that's maybe a little weird.
But also, it is technically possible.
Yeah.
The secret kitchen setup, or maybe, you know, I got a little CRT next to my toilet, so I'm legitimately going to the bathroom, but I'm practicing gate skip or whatever trick I needed to do. I don't even know what a gate skip would be in this instance, but the point is, I have a bathroom set up for practicing. But I just don't see it happening that much. But again, it's a progressive thing that we'll eventually get to, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, eventually will probably take a while. Yeah. I would say right now that's probably, because it depends on, like, who is, like, I guess who is in charge, in quotes, of the community, and, like, what their priorities are, I guess.
Yeah.
As to, like, how fast those issues are brought up and potentially implemented. But it also depends on the game. Like, when you have, you know, a ridiculously long 100% speedrun like Breath of the Wild, the issue of a break becomes a lot more central to the conversation.
Yeah, and there were still people who were against breaks for Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, I know. I personally know people who are still against it. But
you know, one thing at a time. We'll see how things evolve over time.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the biggest issue is that a lot of who these kinds of changes help are the people who aren't in the community yet.
Right, because it's like us who are in the community already, who are already like okay at least in some regard with what the rules are, don't see why they would need to change. But we also don't see the people who never came in because they saw the rules and were like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I feel like I always look at SM64 because I feel like that game is weirdly very progressive because it being like 15 minutes long for like one of its main categories. And
true, yeah, just the length of the category makes it a lot more accessible.
Yeah, as well as it attracts people across, you can play on VC, you can play on N64, Switch VC, emulator. There's so many ways to play. So it just attracts everyone from everywhere, no matter how much time you have, which are like the biggest factors.
And it also has the advantage of just being a like Nintendo classic.
Oh yeah.
So everybody likes to play it basically.
Yep.
So anyway, if you guys want to hear more talks like this, be sure to follow SwiftIke.
And of course, if you're not following Gymnast, please check him out. One of my personal favorite speedrunners to lurk in on. And randomizer players, of course.
Oh no, I'm a randomizer player now. No.
You're both, I would argue. Sorry, I should have said Overwatch and Valorant player.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. Finally being recognized for something that I do. Yeah.
Let me guess. Sova main?
Exactly, yes.
Actually? Wow. See, I know my Sova mains when I see them.
I give off that vibe, you know.
The one-eyed Russian vibe? Yeah. It's the bow and arrow that really sells it, you know?
Yeah.
But I am done for the day.
Yeah, I'm done as well.
So I will
thank you guys all for watching.
see you guys later.